Yo everyone, what is going on? Welcome to the video. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you some of my brand new low-calorie, high-protein recipes. Did I say that right? Brand new low-calorie, high-protein recipes. Yes, I did. And today's recipes are very interesting, I have to say. Breakfast, I'm not going to give too much away. You'll see it in a second, but it's kind of like this breakfast sandwich thing that you were just going to feel compelled to try after you see me make it. And dessert is 10 out of 10. Honestly, wait for dessert. But yeah, as well as that, I am also going to be talking about some of my little tips and tricks to remain motivated, because whenever I do a Q&A on Instagram, it is a question that always pops up. So yeah, it is breakfast time. I am in the mood for a sandwich. So let's go make a breakfast sandwich. Okay, breakfast sandwich time, and step one is to add 50 grams of spinach leaves and 50 grams of mushrooms to a pan. While the veg is frying away, I'm gonna get to work on the bread. So I'm gonna get 2 slices of 60 calorie bread. I'm going to put one on top of the other. Then I am going to cut the ends off each of them, and this might not make much sense now, but it will in a second. All right, now that the spinach and the mushrooms are fully cooked, I'm going to set them aside on a plate. Then I'm gonna spray my pan with a little bit more 1 calorie spray. I'm gonna add 250 ml of egg whites to the pan, and then I'm gonna get my 2 slices of bread and place them in the center. And the reason I chopped off the ends is so the bread would fit on the pan, because my pan is just a little bit too small for the full size. And you can do whatever you want with those end pieces. You can eat them yourself, you can feed them to your dog. It's your bread, it's your life. And I should have done this before, so if you are making it, make sure you do. But I'm going to season everything with some smoked paprika and some sea salt. And I'm gonna keep going around the base like so, and slightly lifting it off the pan just to make sure it doesn't stick to the pan. So right now I have my spatula thingy under the egg. I think this is called a spatula. I am right under there, and I am going to try and flip the whole thing. This will ruin my day if it doesn't go right. Come on, baby. 1, 2, 3. Yes! I'm a legend. All right, next up it is time for the toppings, and I'm going to add it to 1 slice of bread. So I can see that slice of bread is there. Okay, so first up we have 50 grams of shredded ham. You can just buy ham slices if you cannot find shredded ham, and chop it up yourself. On top of that goes our spinach and mushroom mix. And then I'm going to top that with 15 grams of reduced fat cheese. All right, so now we are going to fold the edges up, and don't worry if it looks a little bit messy, keep the faith. And then for the grand finale, to make the actual sandwich, I am going to fold 1 piece of bread onto the other. And now I'm just gonna let it cook away for the final few minutes until the cheese fully melts. And you can also flip it a couple of times if you want, just so the 2 slices of bread are both equally done. Alright, so the fact that this only has 352 calories and almost 50 grams of protein is an absolute calorie and macro bargain. You will probably not find a better breakfast sandwich for less than 400 calories than this one. And if I had a couple of pieces of advice, they would be not to skip on the smoked paprika. And if you can get your hands on a smoked ham like that one was, then make sure you do so, because when you bite into the dish, it just obviously gives it that smoked kind of oaky barbecuey taste. And yeah, 10 out of 10, highly recommend. And you can obviously change it up a little bit if you want. So for example, if you don't like mushrooms, have another vegetable instead. But I do recommend including some sort of veg on it, because that will go a long way in helping you remain full and satisfied throughout the day and after this meal in particular. Oh, and before I forget, I actually got inspo for this meal from the Body Smith on Instagram. All right, so as I said, something that I wanted to touch on in this video is motivation. And I've kind of been reflecting and thinking about the things that I do to help me remain motivated, or, you know, not even motivated, but just disciplined enough to get shit done and remain productive no matter how I'm feeling. So motivated, not motivated, whatever. Because having that ability to get things done and dig deep, no matter how you are feeling, and not have to heavily rely on motivation all the time, that is an extremely useful tool, and that is something that will serve you in all areas of life. And the first thing that I want to touch on when it comes to this is setting yourself some clear and realistic non-negotiables every week. And these are the things that you are getting done each week no matter what. So for example, like if you think of each week as an exam, these are the things that will scrape you the pass, the bare minimum. And I think it's important to have these non-negotiables because, as we all know, not every single week goes to plan. Sometimes motivation is extremely low, sometimes something pops up that kind of gets in the way of our plans. But at least if we have these non-negotiables in place and then these weeks happen, we can revert back to these and say, okay, this week isn't going to be great. I'm maybe not going to get as much done as I thought I would, but at least I can tick off my non-negotiable. So, you know, in a good week, you might aim to get 4 to 5 workouts done, but your non-negotiable is 3 workouts per week. On a good week, you might aim to stay 100% on track with your calories and macros 6 days out of 7, but your non-negotiable is 4 days or 5 days. On a good week, you might try and work on a side project of yours 3 evenings of the week, but your non-negotiable is 1 evening of the week. So, you know, these are the bare minimum for you, and they are not there for the weeks that you are feeling highly motivated. They're there for when things maybe aren't going 100% to plan and you need to slightly realign your expectations for that week. But yeah, let's go to my next meal and then we will get back to talking about motivation. I feel like motivation is actually a hard topic to cover without sounding cringy. So if by the end of this video you think I do a good job, make sure you comment below and let me know. Okay, so for my next meal, I'm gonna be having a sweet, sticky kind of dish. I think that's how I would describe it. It's so tasty, so easy to make as well. It's kind of like the breakfast sandwich in a way that when you look at it at first, you'll know what I mean when I start making it, or when I add an ingredient, you're kind of like, what the hell? You're just kind of intrigued as to how it will taste, but ever since I have tasted it, it has become a staple in my diet. Honestly, it is so good. So let's give it a go. Alright, so step numero uno is to add 175 grams of diced chicken breast to the pan. I'm going to season them with some smoked paprika and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And while the chicken is cooking away, I'm gonna get to work on some veg. So I'm gonna chop up 50 grams of mushrooms into thin slices, half an onion into thin slices, half a red pepper into thin strips, half a green pepper into thin strips, and I'm gonna peel and chop 1 garlic clove into little pieces. All right, so the chicken is good to go. I am going to set it aside on this plate over here. I'm gonna spray my pan with some more fry light, and then I am going to add all of the veg that I just prepared. And the last bit of veg I'm going to add is 5 of these little baby corns. Alright, so now that a couple of minutes have passed, I'm going to add my next few ingredients. So I'm going to add 15 grams of tomato puree, 10 ml of this Worcestershire sauce, 15 ml of this low-fat balsamic dressing, 15 ml of soy sauce. I'm going to give everything a little stir, and then for the weird slash special ingredient, I'm going to add in some Pepsi Max. So I added 150 ml, and what I am going to do is increase the heat to max and bring it to the boil. Alright, now I'm going to add in half of a chicken stock cube that I've dissolved in 100 ml of water. I'm going to add in a chicken stock pot, and then I'm just going to let it simmer away for about 10 minutes on a low heat until the sauce begins to thicken. And as you can see, it is already getting nice and thick. Alright, sauce is looking good. I'm going to add my chicken back into the mix. I chopped up a few spring onions that I'm going to add in as well. The spring onions are optional. I just think they make the dish look a little bit prettier, to be honest. And now we stir everything in and just let it simmer away for another few minutes until the chicken gets nice and warm. Unbelievable. Seriously though, the sauce is so good. It's one of those sauces where you are literally licking your plate after the meal is finished. It's just so weird that Pepsi Max works so well. And you can use Diet Coke as well if you are a bigger fan of Diet Coke. I won't hold it against you. we probably can't be good friends. We could probably still be mates though, like talk from time to time. But yeah, Diet Coke and Pepsi will work the same. And if you had a few calories to spare, I think you have a couple of options. So one option is like a slice of bread or something like that, because with the slice of bread, you could get the sauce at the end and eat the bread. That would be pretty good. You could obviously use rice. That would go really well with this meal. Or you could have a side of like homemade fries or whatever you want. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to motivation is planning ahead as much as possible. And this is something that I have to say I am really into. And what I recommend is setting aside at least 1 hour on the weekend, maybe on a Saturday, to planning for the week ahead. So in terms of training, you might plan what exact days you are training, what time you are training at on those days, what session you're going to be doing on those days. In terms of nutrition, you might plan your meals for the first few days of the week ahead. So what you are having for breakfast, lunch and dinner on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. You might plan, you know, what you need to buy in the shop over the next day or two to have those meals. You might plan what evenings of the week you are going to prep. So maybe setting aside 1 hour on a Sunday evening and 1 hour on a Wednesday evening. And you might plan what you need to do in terms of work or study. So for example, when it comes to my social content, I set aside at least 1 hour on a Saturday, and I plan all of my Instagram content for the week ahead, all of my TikTok content for the week ahead, all of my YouTube content for the week ahead as well. And this is time consuming and it takes a lot of energy, but when it's done, it's just such a relief, because it just means that I can wake up every single day the following week and have a clear plan in place. And it just means that I'm not trying to wing it and hence fall behind during the week. And I think the weekend is something that deserves its own little mention here. For most of us, it is the downfall, you know, because we all know that it is much easier to create a routine during the week, when we have like work or school to keep us on track, but then we get up on a Saturday morning and we have no idea what to do because we haven't given it any thought. So of course, you know, everybody needs a break from the norm on the weekend, but I think it is something that needs an element of planning too. So for example, you could have a go-to plan on the weekend that allows you to have that little bit of structure, but also that little bit of flexibility to go with it. So for example, on a Saturday, you might always set your alarm at a reasonable time. You might always have a set time in which you work out. If you work out on Saturdays, you might have a go-to breakfast and lunch every Saturday, and then you might set aside X number of calories every Saturday evening to have whatever treat you want to have. So it could be a nice dinner, a few drinks, whatever. So creating that extra bit of structure on the weekend is something that personally helps me a lot, because I know when I have absolutely no plan going into the weekend, it is my diet that often suffers and I just end up eating shit for the whole day. So yeah, it's something that really helps. So yeah, just to round up that chat on motivation / discipline really quickly before I go to my final meal. Setting yourself some clear non-negotiables on a weekly basis, and planning ahead as much as you possibly can for the weekdays and the weekend. They are both things that help me remain on track and stay productive on a weekly basis, and I think they are actionable as well. So yeah, if you are struggling at the moment, I think if you do your best to put those into action, it could make a significant difference. So yeah, comment below and let me know if that chat helped, or at least if it wasn't as cringy as most people when they talk about motivation. Sometimes those chats are just the worst. Yeah, but anyway, let's go to my final meal. Alright, so final meal of the video about to go in. This is a like dessert / snacky kind of meal, and I think I may have left the best to last. I'm not 100% sure. I suppose it just depends on what you are into. But I know that there are a lot of people out there, especially if you have a sweet tooth, that are gonna be a big fan of this. Okay, so step one, I have a big ass bowl and I have a big ass bag of popcorn. You can use whatever popcorn you like. The reason I am using this one is because it is tasty and it is very voluminous as well. But there are plenty of other brands that do voluminous popcorn, and what I mean by voluminous is that you get quite a big portion of popcorn for quite low calories. So Proper Corn is another brand. Skinny Pop I think is another brand. If you live in the States and you want to go down the microwave popcorn route, you can go for Smart Pop. I think that's the brand. So yeah, moral of the story, use whatever popcorn you like, and I'm going to pour 30 grams of this popcorn into a bowl. Alright, then I'm going to put my popcorn to one side for a second, and I am going to pour 30 grams of these marshmallows into a bowl. Alright, so I added just a few drops of water to the marshmallows. I'm going to put them in the microwave, and I'm going to microwave them for 30 seconds at a time until they are fully melted. So every 30 seconds, just take them out, give them a little stir with a spoon, and then put them back in for another 30. All right, then I'm going to pour my melted marshmallows onto the popcorn, and I'm going to mix it all in. Then I'm gonna add 15 grams of chocolate brownie whey protein to this glass, and I'm gonna mix it with this 0-calorie chocolate fudge cake syrup until it forms a sauce-like consistency. And if you do not have syrup, you can just mix it with water. This is the type of consistency that you are aiming for. All right, then we are gonna add that to our popcorn and mix it all in. Then I'm just gonna let it set for a few minutes, let everything come together. And as you can see, I've transferred bowls because this one was just looking a bit grubby, to be honest. Absolute game changer. And no, I am not referring to the Netflix documentary. That shit is terrible. But yeah, this is a really solid snack. 290 calories, a decent bit of volume from the popcorn, a decent bit of protein from the protein powder sauce. So yeah, maybe not the smartest choice if you are really trying to, maximize those 290 calories in terms of volume. But when you weigh everything up and when you consider the fact that it tastes unbelievable, it's worth it. And there are a couple of things you could do here. So, I just kind of let it set at room temperature, and as a result, when I dig in with my spoon, it kind of comes apart pretty easily. That's what I like. But if you wanted to make it a little bit harder, nearly more like a popcorn kind of bar consistency, then you would just let it set in the fridge for maybe a couple of hours. Let's give it a taste. Wow, unreal. Sweet, salty, class. Alright everyone, I'm going to wrap the video up there. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you comment below and let me know. And make sure you smash the thumbs up button, and I mean smash it. Don't just press it gently, smash it. And you can hit the subscribe button as well if you have not already. You don't have to smash that if you don't want to, but I recommend doing so. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are all keeping well, and I'll see you next week.